Okay, so this week we're gonna start jumping right into coding Posit Cloud in our studio. But I intentionally want us to take a moment and understand what's going on. In terms of our quote, whatever you do in life, surround yourself with smart people who will argue with you. John Wooden. It's important for you to find people to challenge you on your thoughts. With that being said, I'm going to not show myself, nor am I going to show the notes. We're just going to learn by doing. So ideally, when you enter your Posit Cloud, it should look something like this. I'm going to click on my name, and you should do the same. So when it comes to R in and of itself, it is a statistical programming language, whereas R Studio, and one could argue this is Posit Studio, but I'm still going to call it by its old name, R Studio. R Studio allows you to program in R, but also allows you to program in other programming languages such as C++, or Python, or Bold D3. That's used for visualizations. Okay. So why R? R is so important because that allows us to analyze data. Why is data so important? Because it's a measure of truth, and R allows us to gather, summarize, and visualize, and make conclusions about data. So we're able to analyze truth. So here are a couple of things. These are panes. Here, this is the console. This pane controls the console terminal background jobs. We don't really care too much about those, just about the console. Here is another pane, environment, history. We're probably going to care more about the environment. This other pane has files, plots, packages, help. I would argue a lot of these are important. Files, help is going to be huge. And I think I said there should be 4 panes. And the way you go about creating this 4th pane is by pressing. Let's do it the easy one. There's a lot of ways of doing this. Let's do it. One of the easiest ways is to click R script. And so this is the 4th pane. And that's where we can type R files. Or at least this is a type of R file. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. When it comes to, it's important for me to take some time to talk about the console. Console is essentially a calculator. 3 plus 3 is equal to 6. 9 times 8 is equal to 72. Okay, I'm correct. Good, it's a calculator. But at the same time, if you want to do the same calculations but save your results, you can type it within the actual file. And you can actually save this. Come to find out, once you save a file within Posit Cloud, it automatically saves. So let's say this is test, and this is test 1. Okay. So if I start to type again, say H is equal to 3, I don't know. It automatically it saves to the actual cloud. So if you run it, it will save. So when I say run it, what does that mean? So when I put my cursor on that line, and if I press Command Enter on Macs or Control Enter on Windows, it would run. Okay, so if I do, you see where it says H is equal to 3, and if I go down here and I say H and I press Command or Control Enter, I see that H is not equal to 3. Okay, so that's how I can run a line. There's other ways of running lines. If I pull up my cursor on this line and press the run, it would run. If I do 5 times 6 and then 5 times 9, and I highlight both lines, this will run. Okay, so those are multiple ways of running things. Okay. All right, so I had to take a deep breath. So what we're about to do right now might seem obsessive, but I'm pretty sure everyone who's watching this video has potentially said, "Where's that file? Where can I find that?" And I would argue if you are intentional about how you organize your files, you will be not only just a better data scientist, but you'll be able to allocate how you organize all your files. I would argue this should be a course. I'm going to delete this so that we can begin. And so you can follow along with regards to the instructions. Where's delete? I should have a delete button. Okay, there we go, delete. All right, so what we're going to do is first is create a new folder. I'm going to say directory instead. That sounds more sophisticated, directory. And we're going to name it data science underscore class. And then you're going to put your initials. I'll put my initials, which are IJW. Okay, boom. And so that's where we're going to put all our information. Okay, so we're going to this directory. Click there, great. The next thing that we're going to do is create 4 different quarters. Okay, we're going to create 4 different quarters. So remember I told you all in class if they're going to have 4 quarters. So it's going to be quarter 1, quarter 2, and I'm spending time on this, and I know it's trivial, but it's important that we have this this line of reasoning or line of thought behind organizing our files so we gain access and to our information as fast as we need to. Okay, I'm gonna rename this 4. So as I'm looking at the notes and I can, go through each file type, you all are more than capable of reading and knowing how to specify each of the file types. And one of the biggest things on why this is important. So one of the biggest things that we can do, or what we can do, or what I have access to do, is actually enter your RStudio Cloud by way of internet. But because we're all on the cloud. And so if you have issues, we can actually work on documents together, and I can easily see what you've done and make certain changes. So if you follow the paradigm regarding naming your notes, your quizzes, your projects, and your peer project critiques, this is going to make our lives a lot easier. So, and it's important to keep that file structure up. So I'm not going to go through each example, but you see what's on the notes. Please follow suit as the semester progresses. Okay, so now we're into file types. And that should have been big on the notes. So we have various file types. If you look at the green plus button there, you have R script. We're not gonna use this much. It's the most basic. We saw it, but it's not the greatest. We're gonna use Quartos. I love markdowns, but we're gonna use Quartos, and towards the end of the quarter we'll talk about R shinies. In terms of a Quarto file, this is pretty cool. So what you can do is, let's say we're naming it. I'm gonna name it test because I'm gonna delete it and then you can name it yourself because it's so cool. You can put your name in, and this is what it's gonna compile as, either as a HTML, PDF, or Word document. So you can create PDFs, HTMLs from your notes or from whatever you're working on. So right now, the title is gonna say, I'm gonna pause it. Now it's running. Okay, great. So it says test 1, my name, so on and so forth. So this allows us to have both text and code together. So right now you can't see, but this is actually code. So if I run this with this green play button, it runs. It says 4. You see 4. I can create a new chunk, and we call them R chunks. 2 ways. You can click this green plus button that creates the R chunk, or I'm going to erase it. If I press Control-Alt-I, I believe it's Command-Alt-I for Macs, Control-Alt-I, that would run. So if I do H is equal to 4, and then run H times 3, it should give me 12. Yeah, good. And so then I can say on top of it, simple multiplication, something like that. So that's a Quarto file, and we're going to do most of our work out of a Quarto file. Okay, last but not least, I have a lot of notes on this, but this is not that serious. Let's say I want to get this, because right now this is on my home computer. Let's say I want to get this file onto RStudio Cloud. All you have to do, right? You see where it is. It's in my notes. Okay. All you have to do is go to upload. Okay. I'm going to go to choose. I'm actually going to put it in quarter one. That's good. Choose. I'm going to choose the file. I already know where it is in terms of my notes. So it already shows up. That's great. It's right here. I choose Starbucks and I click OK. And then when I go to quarter, it's there. Great, fantastic. Now, let's say I want to actually upload multiple files. And you can actually, it shows up, let's say I want to load up multiple files. And if you look at, if it's time for you to upload the files, it actually shows you how to do this, but I'll do it for you anyway. I'll have to, if I want to load up these two PDFs, I turn it into a zip. And for Mac users, you can Google how to turn it to zip. I don't know how to turn it to zip on Macs. Let's say files, PDF. Okay, and that's for any file type. Okay, and then now if I go to upload, and this is the only way for you to load multiple files, and gives you instructions right there, like I just said. Go to open. If you read these, it tells you how to upload it as a zip. And then, bam, there we go. So I'm going to that's that. Okay. That's it for this video. So thank you for your time. I mean, this is very straightforward. You can do so many different things just because I want to. Real fast, if you want to change the layout and make this a different color, you can do that as well. Let me make it like something cool like this. Then go to apply, press OK, boom, there we go. And let's say, for example, you can make the console on the right. Sometimes I do that as well. But there's so many other things that you can do. But this is the basics. All right. So thank you for your time. And yeah.